How's everybody doing this morning?
Great.
Good. All right, we're going to start by doing something. Can you turn me down a little bit, Chris? I feel like I'm in the bathroom or something. First thing I want you to do is to point at yourself. So every single person is pointing right here. You're pointing right here. We don't point at our guitars. Gina doesn't point at her voice and how good she sings. We don't point at our car or our house. We point right here. Because this is who we are. Our heart is who we are. And as we kind of wrap up the gift series, I really feel like God wants to share with our body that your heart is your greatest gift. Out of all the gifts we've talked about, from word of knowledge to prophecy to speaking in tongues, God wants to remind you that your greatest gift is your heart. And without that, all the other gifts don't really matter. So today, I'm not talking about heart versus gifts, because religion makes it either or. It's like either your heart or your gifts. But when we're in a relationship with the Father, it's both and more. Religion makes it either or. Relationship makes it both and more. So that's going to be kind of a reoccurring thing that I'm going to say today that I want you to get. So as we kind of jump in, the first thing in order for us to grasp this is to know before our hands are put to anything in life, before we work, before we have these gifts that we use, we're sons and daughters. Our identity is in us being sons and daughters in Jesus. So Matthew, let's turn to Matthew. If you got your Bible, you're a good Christian and brought your Bible. And then you can turn. I'm just kidding. Man, it's the worst when you're like, when the pastor's like, go ahead and turn to, and you're like, gosh, dude, I left it in the car or something, you're like, you feel awful. Matthew 3:17. So this is right after Jesus is gone. John has baptized him, and Jesus comes out of the water. And it says, and a voice from heaven said, this is my Son, whom I love, and with him I am well pleased. This is my Son, whom I love, and with him I am well pleased. See, God is pleased in who you are, not what you are. He didn't call Jesus, this is my sacrifice who's going to save everyone, or this is the Lamb of God, or this is the healer, he said, this is my Son. He spoke identity to who he was, not what he could do or what he was. And then he went on even to say, with him I'm well pleased. Not with his healing, or not with his miracles, or not with how he treats people. He said with him, who he is. So he's talking about who, he's pleased in who he is, not what he can do. God is pleased in our being, not in our doing. That's why we're called human beings, not human doings. Because we're to be. He is pleased in us just being who we are, not in what we can do or how we can perform. So when you do, this is kind of a thinker, so you got to put your thinking cap on. When you do your doing out of the pleasure he has in your being, you will do more than you could ever ask or imagine. I'm going to say it again. When you do your doing out of the pleasure that he has in your being, you will do more than you could ever ask or imagine. God is more concerned about who you are and your heart than the gifts that you have or the things that you can do to impress him or others. And I'm not just talking about spiritual gifts, I mean guitar. God cares a lot more about my heart than he does my guitar. Sometimes I don't. And so that's what I want to talk about and jump in today. I want to remind you, this is critical for you to get. He is pleased in your heart, first and foremost. He is pleased in your heart. In your heart. So here's a little story for you to kind of illustrate this. So my dad, who's here in the front, and my uncle, his brother, and my grandfather, Pappy, we call him Pappy, they all played sports growing up. My dad and my uncle followed in Pappy's footsteps and became coaches. So they coached football, basketball, baseball, anything else in life that you can imagine they're coaching. Pappy doesn't even coach anymore, and he'll be drawing football plays on napkins at restaurants. And you're like, who are you game planning for, man? So I grew up with a ball in my hand. I grew up playing ball. So I was raised as an athlete. I was given kind of a legacy to walk in. It's the Carters, we play sports, and we're good. And but my sophomore year of high school, I had grown up playing all three of those sports: basketball, football, baseball. My sophomore year of high school, I decided to stop playing baseball, which was like, I knew it would be a big deal. I was like, because I grew up, I was like this when I was like Jade, like Shannon's kid. Like he lives and breathes baseball. That was me. I was playing baseball all the time, all summer. So I was like, I know this is going to be a big deal. Like, I hope that this is going to be okay. If I go to them, I'm like, hey, I don't really want to play baseball, Like, I knew it would be a big deal. At the time, I didn't know if I was going to go back and play later. It ended up just being a year of me taking a break. But I was hesitant because of what these baseball coaches that raised me would say. And I found out very quickly that their pleasure in me was not found in baseball, but was found in who I was as a son, a nephew, and a grandson. You see, a good father, I'm going to have a little fun here, because I think we have some people who understand this, but a good father doesn't look like redneck mom or dad at the ball field who's yelling at their kid for not making all-stars, or who should have hit that home run, or you should have run harder, or why'd you get out? That's not what a good father looks like. It looks like the dad whose first priority after the game is to hug his son, grab his son's bag, walk into the car, and tell his son, I'm so proud of you. No matter if he wins or he loses. You see, redneck dad causes a spirit, an orphan spirit, that communicates to the son that you have to perform or impress me in order to gain my pleasure. The true heart of a father says, it doesn't matter how you perform. What I'm most concerned about is who you are. I love you because of you, not because of what you can do to impress me. But many times our false view of the Father causes us to think that our gift is meant to impress Him, rather than our gift is meant to enjoy Him, to be with Him. So I don't know if any of you guys have experienced that personally, where maybe your dad or somebody in your life was the redneck dad, who was mad, and even if it's not baseball, it could be something completely else, singing, or it could be art, or it could be whatever. But you got to be smarter. You got to get good grades. But you have that redneck dad mentality in your life where you felt like I have to perform in order to gain my Father's pleasure. And today I want to share with you and show you that that's not God's heart. The heart of a true father is not that. So I'm going to tell you a little story that I heard. This is from a worship pastor that I followed. And so he said, one day I was sitting having my quiet time and felt like the Holy Spirit said, what was the best Christmas gift that you ever got? And he was like, I was like, that's kind of a weird question, like, just have a quiet time, man. Like, so, but usually when the Holy Spirit asks you something weird like that, it's probably like because He's got a reason behind it, and there's like a second part. He said, so I started going through the years, and he was like, when I was 8 years old, my dad bought me a Red Ryder BB gun. And he said, now, this is a big deal because my mom said that I couldn't have a Red Ryder BB gun until I was 10. And so my dad had snuck out and bought a Red Ryder BB gun for me, and my mom was surprised at Christmas because she didn't even know I was getting it. And he said, so I opened it up and I'm like, what? This is crazy. And my mom was like, what? This is crazy. She's ticked. And he said, And he said, my mom said something that day that the Holy Spirit wanted to speak to me. And she said to my dad, he cannot use that without you. He can't use that without you around. He said, so for the whole next year, every time I wanted to play with my Red Ryder BB gun, my dad had to go with me. And he was like, and what was really cool was when like dad brought his actual shotgun and was like just smoking things, like, and I was like, whoa. And he said, but the cool thing is what his mom said, is that your dad has to be with you when you use this. And because what it was communicated was the gift requires your father's presence. And that's what the Holy Spirit is communicating to us with these gifts of the Spirit, with any gifts that are given to us. That He's constantly, every time I pick up my guitar, and I'm like, oh, today I'm going to write a cool song. Or today I'm going to play this music for everybody. Every time, God's always reminding me, like, why are you picking this up? Why are you trying to use this gift? You know that you need me. It requires His presence. Our gifts are given to us so that we might enjoy Him and get to know Him more. Does that make sense? There was a story of a girl who was like an amazing singer. So she was like, I'm going to go to Nashville, I'm going to chase the dream, try to get a recording contract. So she goes, and for 2 years, she was a waitress and was trying to break into the music scene. And nothing. Doors closing in her face, day after day. And finally, she sits down, has like an honest conversation with the Lord and says, God, why did you give me this kind of voice if you're not going to open any doors? And He said, because I just thought you would enjoy it. And so this morning, I want to communicate to you guys that our gift is not so we can do something, but our gift is so we can be with Him. The God that we see is how we will be. The God that we see is how we will be. If you see an angry, distant God, it probably means you're struggle with anger and distance yourself in relationships. If you see God as joyful and loving, it's probably how you're going to treat and act to Him and others. Are we worshiping the God that we made, or are we worshiping the God that made us? Are we worshiping the God that we made, or are we worshiping the God that made us? Remember, our false view of the Father causes us to think that the gifts are to impress Him, when really they're given so that we might enjoy Him. So going back to Redneck Dad, what I was illustrating there was there's a son mentality and there's an orphan mentality. I'm going to take a few minutes and kind of show you what this looks like. Obviously, I don't know if you're going to be able to write these down super fast, but I want you to listen and I want you to think, which of these do I fall into? Or which one of these do I lean towards? So the son mentality, the son climbs into the father's lap for affection. But an orphan climbs the ladder of success to gain approval. The son seeks to serve with and alongside the father. But the orphan carries a spirit of entitlement and pride. The son's security is in the giver of his gifts. The orphan, his security is in the gifts that he has been given. The son is fueled by love and affection, and the orphan is bound by fear of failure. The son rests in God's perfection and performance. The orphan strives to be perfect and perform to win his own approval. The son is driven by excellence, but the orphan is driven by perfectionism. The son moves with humility and unity towards others by rejoicing in their blessing and success. But the orphan moves with competition and rivalry towards others' blessings and successes. I struggle with that one. The son rests in the inheritance that he has been given, and the orphan fights for what he can get. In Matthew 25, verse 24, I'm going to read you a story. It's the parable of the talents. Some people call it the money or bags of gold or whatever it is, but a lot of people call it the parable of the talents. I'm going to read this whole thing here for you. Again, it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, and another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. And then he went on his journey. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 bags more. So also the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who had received 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground, and he hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. Master, he said, you have entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See that I have gained 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share in your master's happiness. The man with 2 bags of gold came. Master, he said, you've entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See that I have gained 2 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with few things. I will put you in charge of many. Come share your master's happiness. Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. Master, he said, I knew that you were a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid, and I went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. And then the master goes on to be like, what the heck were you doing, dude? But the thing that I want to highlight to you here is the false view that the third guy had. He said, Master, I knew you were a hard man. Our false view of the Father, we live out. His fear, he said it. He said, I was afraid and went out and hid your gold. His false view of the Father paralyzed his gift, and he hid its greatness and its potential because of his false view of the Father. I'm going to jump over to 1 Kings. 1 Kings 3, 5, verse 5 to 9. This is the story of Solomon, King Solomon. And this is like the only guy that God's ever been like, anything you want. God kind of played genie for a second. You know, it's like, anything you want, I'll give to you. Yeah, like, he has anything in the whole world. What do you want? So this is that story. Starting at verse 5. The Lord appeared to Solomon during the night in a dream. And God said, ask for whatever you want me to give to you. And Solomon answered, you have shown great kindness to your servant, my father David, because he was faithful to you and righteous and upright in heart. You have continued this great kindness to him and have given him a son to sit on his throne this very day. Now, Lord my God, you have made your servant king in this place of my father David, but I am only a little child and do not know how to carry out my duties. Your servant is here among the people you have chosen, a great people, too numerous to count. So give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. For who is able to govern this great people of yours? He started after this question by saying, you have shown great kindness. He saw the Father's heart as kind. And because of that, that's what he longed for. He said, give me a discerning heart. The Message translation says, give me a God-listening heart. Or an obedient heart is another translation. This is the guy that, like, everyone reads Scripture and they're like, this is the wisest guy in all of Scripture. And the one thing that he asked for was a discerning and God-listening heart. He knew that the greatest gift that he could ask of the Father was his own heart. When our gifts are without relationship with the Father, they get pretty messy and weird. We've kind of talked about that over the last 10 weeks. If you come on Wednesday nights to the living room where we just kind of set up the couches and talk and have a discussion about what we talked about the week previous, we talked a lot about that, some of our experiences and how we've experienced the gifts of the Spirit and operation, and how sometimes it gets weird. And we're like, what the heck happened there? You know, like, I don't even know if that was a real gift or if that was like even Jesus or not, you know? Because when relationship isn't involved, and when our heart isn't taken care of, the gifts get weird really quick. Because all of a sudden it's out of my motive, out of my decision, not out of his. When they flow from a place of deep-rooted relationship, they accomplish more than we could ever do on our own. So, to kind of finish up, I want to read to you a children's book called Just the Way You Are. So I scanned in like pictures so you could see and like. I was gonna try to like not do the pictures up there and do this whole thing like where teachers are like. But I don't know how they read upside down. That's crazy. I would have to practice that all week. I was like, I don't have time for that. It's a gift. I think they learn that in school. When you get an education degree. So I'm going to read this to you. And I just want you to listen. The words aren't going to be up there, but there'll be some photos to kind of go along with it. It's called Just the Way You Are. A long time ago, in a land much like your own, there was a village. And in the village lived 5 orphans, a lonely family of fatherless children. They had banded together against the cold. One day, the king learned their misfortune and decided to adopt them. He announced that he would be their father and that he would come for them soon. When the children learned that they had a new father and their father was the king and that the king was coming to visit, they went wild with excitement. When the people of the village learned that the children had a father and their father was the king and that the king was coming to the village, they were excited as well. They went out to see the children and told them what to do. You need to impress the king, they explained. Only those with great gifts to give will be allowed to live in the castle. The people didn't know the king. They just thought that all kings wanted to be impressed. So the children began preparing gifts to offer the king. They worked long and hard to be sure the king would approve. One of the children, who knew how to carve, decided to give the king a wonderful work of wooden art. He set his knife against the soft bark of the elm and whittled. The small blocks of wood came alive with the eyes of a sparrow or the nose of a horse. His sister decided to present the king with a painting that captured the beauty of the heavens, a painting worthy to hang in his castle. Another sister chose music as her way to impress the king. For long hours she practiced with her voice and mandolin. Village people would stop at her window and listen as her music took wings and soared. Yet another child set out to turn the king's head with his wisdom. Late hours would find his candle lit and his books open. Geography, math, chemistry. The breadth of his study was matched only by the depth of his desire. Surely a king would appreciate all of his knowledge. But there was one sister who had nothing to offer. Her hand was clumsy with the knife, her fingers stiff with the brush. When the little girl opened her mouth to sing, the sound was hoarse. She wasn't much of a reader, and she believed she had no talent. And so she believed that she had no gift. All she had to offer was her heart, for her heart was good. She spent her time at the city gates, watching people come and go. She would earn pennies to buy food for her brothers and sisters, by grooming people's horses or feeding their animals. She was a simple stable girl, but she had a good heart. She knew the beggars by name. She took time to pet each dog. And she welcomed home the travelers and greeted the strangers. "How was your journey?" she would ask. "Tell me what you learned on your visit. How is your husband? Do you enjoy your new work?" She was full of questions for the people because her heart was big and she cared about the people. They were all the same to her, the beggars and the rich. She cared for all of them, just the way they were. But since the little girl thought she had no talent and no gift, she was afraid that the king would be disappointed. She remembered the villagers' advice and set her mind about the task of making a gift for the king. She took a small knife and went to her brother, the carver. "Could you teach me how to carve?" she asked. "Sorry," the young craftsman responded without looking up. "I have much work to do and I haven't got time for you. The king is coming, you know." So the girl put her knife away and picked up a brush. She went to her sister, the artist. She found her on a hill painting a sunset on a canvas. "You paint so beautifully," said the girl who had no gift but a big heart. "I know," the painter answered. "Could you share your gift with me?" "Not now," the sister responded with her eyes on the palette. "The king is coming, you know." The girl with no gift then remembered her other sister, the one with the song. "She will help me," she said. When she arrived at her sister's house, she found a crowd of people waiting to listen to her sister sing. "Sister," she called. "Sister, I've come to learn and to listen." But her sister couldn't hear. The noise of the applause was too loud. With a heavy heart, the girl turned and walked away. She remembered her other brother. She took a book with small words and big letters and went to see him. "I have nothing to offer the king," she said. "Could you teach me to read so I might show him my wisdom?" The young sage-to-be didn't speak. He was lost in thought. The child with no gift spoke again. "Could you help me? I have no talent." "Go away," said the scholar, scarcely moving his eyes from the text. "Can't you see I'm preparing myself for the coming of the king?" So the girl went away sadly. She had nothing to give. She returned to her place at the city gates and took up her task of caring for the people's animals. After some days, a man in merchant's clothes came to the small town. "Can you feed my donkey?" he asked the girl. The orphan jumped to her feet and looked into the brown face of the one who traveled far. His skin was leathery from the sun, and his eyes were deep. His kind smile warmed the girl's heart. "That I can," she answered eagerly, leading the animal to the trough. "Trust him to me. When you return, he will be groomed and fed." "Tell me," she asked as the donkey drank, "have you come to stay?" "For only a while. I'm looking for someone." "Well, are you weary from your journey?" "That I am." "Would you like to sit and rest?" The girl motioned to a bench near the wall. The tall man sat on the bench and leaned against the wall, closed his eyes, and slept. After a few minutes, he awoke and found the girl sitting at his feet, watching his face. She was embarrassed that he had caught her staring. She turned away. "Have you been sitting there long?" "Yes." "What do you seek?" "Well, nothing. You seem to be a kind man with a peaceful heart. It's good to be near you." The man smiled and stroked his beard. "You are a wise girl," he said. "When I return, we will visit some more." The man did return, quite soon. "Did you find the ones you were seeking?" the girl asked. "I found them, but they were too busy for me." "What do you mean?" "The first one I came to see was a woodsmith, rushing to complete a project. He told me to return tomorrow. Another was an artist. I saw her sitting on a hillside, but the people below said she did not want to be disturbed. The other was a musician. I sat with the others and listened to her music. When I asked to talk with her, she said she had no time. The other I had sought had left. He has moved to the city to go to school." The girl's eyes widened as she realized who the man was. But you don't look like a king," she gasped. "I try not to," he explained. "See, being a king can be lonely. People act strangely around me. They ask for favors. They try to impress me. They bring me all their complaints." "But isn't that what a king is for?" asked the girl. "Certainly," responded the king. "But there are times when I just want to be with my people. There are times when I want to talk to my people, to hear about their day, to laugh a little bit, to cry. There are times when I just want to be their father." "Is that why you adopted the children?" "That's why. Adults think they have to impress me. Children don't. They just want to talk to me. They know that I love them just the way they are." "But my brothers and sisters were too busy?" "They were. But I'll come back, and maybe they'll have more time another day." The girl hesitated. "But sir, what about me? I have no gift, but I want to be your child." The king smiled. "My dear, you have given the best gift of all. You gave your heart, your kindness, your time, your love. Of course you'll be my child. I love you just the way you are." And so it happened that the children with many talents but no time missed the visit of the king, while the girl whose only gift was the gift of her heart became the child of the king. So, bring us back to the beginning. I want you to point to yourself. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Guard your heart above all else." Above any gift, above any talent, anyone else. For it is the source of your life. Relationship makes it both and more. It's about this and the gifts. It's not about this or the gifts. So as we kind of wrapped up our gifts series, we talked about the gifts of the Spirit. And last week we talked about, oh wait, there's more. God is so concerned about your heart because the gifts can flow from it. Because He knows when we're in a relationship with a good Father, that our heart is good and the gifts are good.